Hey guys, it's Navinad. I just got done playing a session that was kind of interesting. Found myself in a ton of difficult, tricky spots, and wanted to immediately break it down, kind of analyze it. But really, I wanted to see if there were some other ideas that, while I was watching it, might strike me because I felt like I was in a lot of marginal situations and did not always make the right play. And I ended up losing. Had a bit of a loser. So I'm gonna take a look at some of these spots and see if the ideas I have about the hands and the session in general are right, and that I might have made some mistakes. I really just felt like I was in turmoil playing against this guy, and I don't know if it was just the situations I was dealt into, or something he was doing, something I was doing or not doing, but I think it's really a good idea that when you have sessions like this, if you're recording, and you ought to be, I think, some of your sessions recording, so you go back and look at them, that you spend some time not just reviewing hand history, but really watching and paying attention so you can pick up on the timing and the overall game flow, and be objective and ask yourself questions like, okay, what was I thinking when I did this, and was there a better way to do it? Should I be checking back king high on 2-3-3 against this player in this spot with this information, or could there have been a reason that I lost this match other than being unlucky? So yeah, I'm just watching it, narrating it, then I'll go in behind and put some call outs up, or well, you're watching the call outs now, but to see if we can get a little bit of an objective analysis. It's something I'm doing for myself, but also to hopefully show you some ideas, or give you some ideas about what you can do with your sessions. Here we're just hoping that he doesn't raise, obviously. And he does, and if we're ever folding 3-2 offsuit, probably ought to be a fold. Sevens. Seems like a good hand. This is a close one, too. I think it's really standard to go ahead and bet for value on this flop. But I think that it kind of depends on your opponent. There's a lot of opponents that would make more sense to check back and try to induce and catch a bluff on turns, or just hope to get closer to showdown against a player that's too tight to call with worse. If he's not going to call me with ace highs and king highs and baby pairs on 10-5-5, or if he 3-bets all of his pairs heads up and won't call. Well, I mean, okay, let's say that he 3-bets all of his ace highs and all of his baby pairs, then really no sense in betting the pair of sevens on the 10-5-5 type board. So, yeah, different things to think about. I feel like there was a lot of very close marginal decisions. Here's another one. We can see better, we can not see better. Now, right here, I think it makes a lot of sense to check back an ace-10 on 3-3-6, and when the ace peels, when he checks again, it kind of makes sense to bet it because you can, you're betting the value of top pair. But, I mean, you're real face up, so I wonder if there's not a better way to play that. Maybe checking back the turn would have been definitely out of the box, but maybe better overall. Now, can we just call here? Or is this just a situation where if he's got it, he's got it? So that was game one. Go back and rewatch that and read the callouts I'm going to put in. I think it'll be helpful. Yeah, this is another episode of Drunk It Up in case you didn't figure that out. Okay, so this is match 2. Same villain. $20 heads up signal. Okay. Yeah, definitely I think I like my raise here. Pretty clear value bet. He should have some nines and some queens that he can call with, maybe some draws. Can't think of anything else that would make sense but the flat call there. Why does he not see that? I like my check back here. Because it seems like if he knows the game at all, when he's checking, he's got a monster that is going to check raise me, and I'm not going to like it. Or he's got some kind of showdown value type hand that I'm not going to get more than 2 streets out of. Maybe if you had like pocket queens, some kind of king X type. Oh, he did have king X. Then, yeah, like playing it the way I played it was probably pretty good. I like that. That was creative and kind of outside the box. But I'm analyzing this for the first time myself, and I think, I mean, there's free screen recording software out there. This is Cam. This is a little bit more than free. But I think you ought to do this. Record your sessions, watch them, analyze them, see if your plays make sense. I think I could have probably bet the river for value. Yeah. I kind of understand the game flow and the things I was thinking and why I made that river check. But it's definitely not standard, and I think hypothetically you cost yourself bets doing that in most scenarios. I really felt like this guy was paying attention to my style of play. I think he had bad fundamentals. He wasn't very like theoretically sound. But he did seem to have a pretty good grasp of game flow, metagame. He did seem to be kind of good at the rock, paper, scissors of poker, or at least was trying to. And kind of an interesting note is when you are 2 steps ahead in rock, paper, scissors, you're 1 step behind. And of course, I'm referring to the non-linear hierarchies in poker, where this, like, A is greater than B is greater than C is greater than A, and there's quite a few of them. So I would love to get some input on some hands that I massacred in this little match here. Like right here. I think this is so, I mean, okay. So normally, I think we just, no, it's totally villain specific. I think 6-4 offsuit can be a fold, a call, or a 3-bet against a min raiser. Heads up, of course. And it really is different from one player to the next. And could we have check raised the flop there? Would that have made some sense? And does it make sense to check raise now? Or I'm sorry, not check raise, but raise the flop or raise the turn? Or does it make more sense to maybe just call and let him continue bluffing if he's bluffing? I guess the answer would depend really on how he plays his missed draws. And, well, I mean, there's more factors than that, but that's the first thing that comes to mind. And I guess how barrel happy he is with his air. And if he's going to be bluffing off a ton of chips, but he's not going to stack off too light when we raise, then definitely better to call and just let him continue barreling. I just moved up to NL20 from NL10 because I've been, running this bankroll up from literally nothing. I don't know how many of these you've seen, but I started with $0 and some frequent player points and cashed out my account. Another real tough marginal situation. I do think there'll be some good barreling opportunities, but we do have some good showdown value. I don't think we're immediately on the flop getting called by worse hands are getting better hands to fold very often, and checking back hopefully induces a bluff here and there, and not this time. Actually did not remember how that worked out, but I mean I lost 1 bet, which is pretty much what was going to happen no matter how I played it. kind of lost my train of thought. I apologize, but I'm sure whatever I was saying was very intelligent and good. This is what I mean by bad fundamentals. Did he just min 3-bet me when he's out of position and I've got the button? Oh, I remember on the one hand, you know, if he's barrel happy, yada yada. So there's so many variables. There's so many things where you get to a point where, and I'm seeing this now because I just started playing $20 heads up sit and goes because my bankroll from the run it up from nothing bankroll just crossed over $400, and so I started playing these $20 heads up sit and goes, and the first thing I noticed is that a lot of players are much more aware of showdown value and taking lines that seem to make some kind of sense. And the other thing is they have a dramatically more how do I say this? They have a way better feel for the game, like the intuition of the opponents. I can feel them kind of trying to get inside my head and trying to, you know, level me and things like that, which I just didn't really see much of that at NL10. Here, this is just a pretty obvious and blatant cooler. I mean, Jack's ace king, we're gonna get that in every time, so. And another spot where I can be in favor of c-betting or checking, depending on our opponent. I think I should just let this go. I'm sure when I checked this, my intention was to check and call, but the bet seemed kind of girthy, and the timing, something about it just kind of seemed like I wasn't going to win that pot. I remember kind of feeling like he'd been getting out of line, and I did want to have some floats, but man, that board was just too many diamonds on the board and not enough in my hand for one thing. And if you're going to take aggressive lines some of the time, and not all of the time, then you may as well choose the times when you do have decent equity to get aggressive. It's nice that he's not 3-betting anything significant, because he'd be stopping me from seeing a lot of flops that I am getting to see with hands at 10-7. So we bet the flop because we had air, and we checked the turn because we've got showdown value. Seems to make sense to me. And we're going to be in a pickle if he bets, but we're real happy when he doesn't. Fine with my line there. Okay, this is where the name of the video came from. I got a little conversation going with them. I wanted to get my best of 3 rematch. So I'm trying to kind of like, I don't know, start a conversation that kind of makes him want to either like get mad and want to rematch me, depending on how he takes it, or be like, yeah, this guy's fun and cool. One of those two things. So, and if you read my my chat, you'll see that it's pretty ambiguous and could be taken, if he's in a bad mood and he's irritated in the angry type, it could be taken in a challenging tone. If he's like a nice guy and he's in a good mood, then it'll probably sound nice, and he might want to give me action for that reason. So this is an interesting spot. I think we can lead, we can check call, we can check raise, but I'm pretty far in favor of check raising. Of course, if we think he's bluffing a ton here, then we can consider just like check calling. And then, but the problem is then we end up in a spot on the river where we're gonna like have to check the nuts basically, and let him check back hands like 8x and 7x, and just give up with draws that he might put money in bad with on the turn. Which I don't think is groundbreaking. I'm sure that just makes kind of intuitive sense. Now the stack sizes are such that his bet sizing is going to dictate a lot of our play. Wait, what happened? Yeah, so I guess I was thinking if I limped in with the H3 offsuit and he made a raise, I could jam on him and kind of like, I don't know. Looking back on it, honestly, I think that was a pretty bad play. I know what I was thinking is that if I min raise, then he's going to shove on me and I'm going to be in a pickle a lot. And if I just open jam, we're probably just a little bit too deep to be open jamming like ace-3 offsuit. Not much too deep. So we don't want to min raise it. We certainly don't want to 3x it. So I guess we probably should just open jam the ace-3 offsuit, as gross as it is. Unless we think villain is playing very, very face up and straightforward, and that we can just limp fold if he jams, or limp call and take a price if he doesn't jam, or maybe even limp shove, depending again on the villain. And the metagame, the history. I think this is a good card to barrel. It improved my equity. I still have like a ton of outs against hands that would likely call flop and turn. And we're certainly not sad just to see him fold and knock out whatever overcards or whatever he had to have some decent amount of equity. This looks pretty standard. I actually think I could have probably just put it in pre-flop, just jammed it in his face. But I think this is okay too. I know I set the SPR up so that if I flopped pretty good, if I wanted to, I could just like get it all in pretty easily by the turn. I think though if I would have bet just a little bit bigger, it would have made jamming the flop a lot more attractive. Like in situations like that where I flop like nut flush draw with over, but also if I would have happened to like connect in a top pair top kicker or a top pair second kicker type way, in those situations having a pretty low stack to pot ratio is pretty good. Yeah, I don't know why I was getting this like urge to slow play and do fancy things. I think it was because of the first game that was just so frustrating. Yeah, I think this is a pretty brutal spot here. It's like we're always beat, but we're getting $1 billion to 1. Maybe if I just bet flop and jam turn, we don't end up in this spot. Nah, I'm sure we could have. Would have been worse, I suppose, actually. Don't you hate it when you have like pocket aces heads up and you just know they're gonna fold? I had a very serious suspicion that that was what was going to happen. Yeah, so now neither of us really rep the flush draw very well, so I think it's fine to just check. Playing a call. Like, if he bets here, his line's BS and he can comfortably call. But I also don't think it makes any sense to value bet, because what are we getting value from? What did he have? Okay. Yeah, another spot where I think Ray's folding would have been better than them folding. Huh. Yeah, I think I might have let this guy get into my mind a little bit, and can't have that. Gotta stay objective, especially moving up stakes. I know it's only $20, but it's like, it's just a lot more than what I'm used to playing as of late. And also, it's a pretty decent sized chunk of my little run it up bankroll that I've become pretty attached to. You know, like, I don't play poker full time. I have a job. I mean, it's not like I can't afford to reload. It's become sort of like a goal. Like, I really want to practice good bankroll management, and reduce my variance, but I want to get my bankroll up to a point where I can actually start doing something with it. And I think that by crossing that $400 threshold was a pretty big difference. You know, I mean, with $400 in the run it up from nothing bankroll, I can afford to play $20 heads up sit and goes, and so far my return on investment has been like damn near break even. I mean, almost like to the dollar. But you know, it's like anything else. I'm sure it'll come back to me. I mean, that's what I was playing before I cashed out my bankroll. I was playing mostly NL20 heads up. And took a bit of a hiatus, and have spent like the last few months playing lower stakes, because I just wanted to see if I could take the $0 frequent player point investment, turn into like a $2 and some odd cent win that I rolled into hundreds of dollars, and it would be a really cool story, and I've got most of it recorded. It'd be a really cool story, maybe video series, hopefully, to actually have, like, you know, thousands of dollar bankroll that I'm making decent money off of, that I got from banking a free roll for $2.80 or whatever it was. I like this spot here. This is interesting. I think deciding to go with like a tiny bet makes sense, because he's probably really weak. He seems very weak. He seems to have some kind of weak hand that hopefully he'll call me with for pot odds if it's decent, like an ace high. And if it's not, maybe it leaves him enough room to shove over the top, whereas betting, you know, like kind of more standard and just ripping it in against him, I think he's going to fold some hands like that ace high that he had, and he's obviously not going to ever put the money in dead, which, you know, like, I mean, with no hand. So I actually really like my play there, and he kind of gave me some crap about it here, which is fine. You know, I mean, it's like, I get it. It looked odd. He didn't think it through very much and thought like, wow, what a weird retarded bet. I just happen to have the one hand that can call it, that would have folded to a normal bet, but on balance, his play was retarded and he's a donkey. But that's because he doesn't always, you know, he's like, it's like the rock, paper, scissors thing, you know, he's 2 steps behind, so he feels like he's 1 step ahead. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. It made sense in my mind, and there's some version of it that makes sense in truth also. Pretty surely. I've been drinking and it's 3 a.m., so I apologize if my sentences aren't as coherent as they might be otherwise. But hey, why don't we just win right here, right now? Let's do it. Yeah, that's how That's what it's like to watch a match you played like literally an hour ago when you're about an 8-pack deep. Really though, I stand by pretty much everything I've said in the video. I hope this is entertaining kind of and interesting and maybe has you thinking. Um, I, I I guess the takeaways, and there should be some takeaways. Takeaway factors, points, things. Always be thinking about whether your lines make sense, even if they